You know, I've noticed for the past few years, whenever we've had this man feature, that the dogs would even be howling in anticipation. They're so looking forward to hearing this man perform. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of us love to hear this man when he comes up, and maybe he'll grace us with a little music. Maybe toward the end we can only hope. And his great poetry, I'm really looking forward to this great feature. Please give it up for our feature tonight, Dan Cleary. Yeah!
Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming out on such a foul night. Of course, yeah. And does everybody know what today is? It's the Ides of March. And I want to make a quote from Shakespeare before I start. Beware the Ides of March.
Don't see the sorrow.
Okay, this is a poem about another poet, Byron. Out of the dross of human life, the detritus of every day, the awful offal some of us must plough through as we make our way through this grim world as best we can, comes as a bonus, radiance, light, when we have almost lost our hope, and all around us, like a blight, contagion breeds. Music, art, the best of what we have to give, comes to the rescue. Poetry restores in us the will to live and sets us on our feet again. That someone somewhere triumphs still with lightning set against the dark is all that's needed to fulfill what we crave most, a quick release from our oppression. Think of one whose name still echoes even now to full acclaim. Think of Byron. It's said he swam the Hellespont on nothing more than just a whim, but that was not the reason why the public chose to honor him. He simply went to bed one night and woke up famous the next day. And all this was to have occurred because he wrote a poem, they say, which shows that the miraculous is always just around the bend, ready to take us by surprise, no matter where our footsteps tend. And we too may transcend our lot at any minute, any hour, by writing something yet, who knows, fired with a kindred sense of power. A work, perhaps, the powers that be, by hook or crook, might hearken to, hold in the spotlight long enough for recognition to break through. If not, we have just what we have, a few spare words upon the page, a sometimes melancholy tract that fails yet to fulfill its pledge, but stands there upright nonetheless, a battered thing perhaps, it's true, a verbal hodgepodge, if you will, which only time will give its due. This is called divertimento. One should be thankful, I suppose, to have the privilege of sharing a house with a woman who happens to be your wife, in spite of the minor annoyances that might occur from time to time, the simple frustrations of a couple who often seem to be on different wavelengths. You think of the advantages of it all. No longer being stuck for a date. You have someone you have to do things with. Even if what you do sometimes seems to conflict. You put it all down to togetherness, to the idea that life is better as a couple than singly, and that a pleasure shared is a pleasure doubled. You no longer seem to be the person you were. You live now and act in two bodies at once, a state of affairs that has its own pluses and minuses. For if your capacity for pleasure is doubled, so also is your capacity for pain. It's a curious dilemma for someone who always prided himself on his ability to make a quick getaway. Sorting yourself out of the debris of a morning in which you have to pick up the remains of a furious nighttime and put them away, you assess again how you happened to get into all this in the first place. You ask yourself if it was worth it after all. A question that now seems to be beside the point when you're already up to your neck in it. But this too, like everything, passes. What you're left with finally is a kind of floating bliss in which, sustained miraculously above the earth, you drift along, your feet touch the ground occasionally, and you experience what it is like to be completely mortal and become baffled by the merry mystery of it all. All right, this is a celebration of spring coming. It's called Anachronatics. On such a startling morning, the birds are winging awake to the blue sky above them. They give their feathers a shake. Winter is almost over. They're testing their tentative wings. They're testing the tremulous air with their tentative flutterings, flying about everywhere. Spring is almost upon us. Let us not mutter and mope about the house in sadness, but think instead of the scope of which life is capable. Think of the wondrous things that yet may be possible if only we stretch our wings. Think of evenings in Venice, of nights with women and wine, and what may yet be our portion when next we sit down to dine. Think of living and loving, of what we yet might do, hatching all kinds of mischief, pitching hilarious woo. Adventures in the bedroom are yet not beyond our grasp, fumbling about in the darkness, unlocking a brazier's clasp, letting its treasures fall open in front of our dazzled sight, so that it stays for a moment unused to such shimmering light. The honest good of topping, of what's too great to be told, when it is happily mutual, still shines like the purest gold. Life, sweet life is upon us. Let us, before it is gone, join with the birds of the morning in paying our lauds to the sun. This is called, this is my earliest memory. I must have been maybe almost 2 years old. Okay? If I was 2, and maybe I was, anyway, it's called Outing. The sky put forth its flag of blue, the clouds had all but flown away, as we set out that morning on what must have been a glorious day. I see it now as if enshrined, my earliest known memory. The go-kart bumped along the path. It skimmed along the grassy verge of that old road as it was then. And as we went, we seemed to merge with lots of others on the way, who seemed to think nothing then to trudge a distance of about 3 miles, giving the crowds of people there. I felt them as they milled about, and the general festive air, the sense of something going on, of which I soon became aware. The rest to me is all a blur. The jockeys, horses nobly bred, the cries of triumph at the post when one had come in by a head. A beautiful, shining crystal bowl sticks in my memory instead. A bowl I treasured on my lap on that triumphant long ride home. Something won at a sideshow booth and golden as a honeycomb. A little bit of glory there, and me just fresh out of the womb. All right, this is another kind of springy poem. It's called Daffodils. For no reason as you would go out, your head a vacancy, full of cloudy forms, and take a turn in the blue air, glad to be alive, and finding this way of expressing it, of all ways the most irrational. As you would say, good day, or how are you? You go into a store and buy daffodils. Watch the florist wraps them in green wrapping, and adds a piece of fern, asking whether you would like them open or closed. And then come out and have no one to give them to. Never fear, it's good to buy daffodils once in a while, if only for the exercise, as regular digging keeps the soil fresh in garden lots. And though she is not there, the one of the moment to whom you would give them to, being periodically strange or hidden behind a cloud, or you are too lead-footed or dull-faced to give them to her, imagine someone else receiving them as a total surprise. Let me see. This is called, this is a political poem. It's called Country Conventions. Chirruping crickets through the night broadcast their unabashed delight. A bird upon a slide trombone practices its scales alone. The field mouse and the barnyard cat wonder where the other is at, ever alert, kept wide awake, by the racket that they make, across the river, up the hill, down the hollow, past the mill, where the blare of nature's choirs ever and anon aspires to pierce the zenith with their cries, unfazed by politicians' lies. All right, seeing that we had this terrible disaster in Japan, I'd like to read a poem called Katrina. This is not Is everyone having a good time? Oh, well.
Winning bets.
Like, coming up with the sound
Yeah,
like
probably.
Katrina.
I don't. This is a sestina. I'll read it.
Woo!
It's such a fine thing to see a woman possessed, as it were, of such delight and flair that she seems to walk on clouds, and to be possessed also of such beauty and to have such an easy way about her that for the moment she puts everyone else in the shade. Ah me, how I would like to sit in the shade of a banyan tree with this lovely woman and have a long, long conversation with her. She inspires me with something of the flair of the old poets who might extol her beauty, comparing it to the sun emerging from clouds. Her hair cascades about her like clouds, as without aid of makeup or eyeshadow, she impresses directly with her beauty, being truly and every inch a woman. She carries it all off with unmistakable flair. What is it, I ask myself, that is so special about her? As I contemplate her now, standing there in the midst of these generalized clods of humanity, as if transfixed to the floor. What is it, I ask myself, in sun or shade that is so extraordinary about this woman? I have to state that it is one thing only, her beauty. What a wondrous prize she'd be as booty to some warrior prince if he could tame her. For without doubt, she looks like a woman for all weathers. She'd be there when winter's clouds were looming with the same guarantee as she would be there in the kinder months when soft airs milled about. Or hopefully next week when I, with my usual flair, will take myself out again to savor her unique beauty, and if possible, get a positive response from her when I share this completed sestina with her. As for now, she remains a mystery to be covered with cloud. Yet I would surely vouch for a woman whose beauty is the first thing you notice about her, who stands out shaded by cloud, though shaded by cloud, a winning woman possessed of great dash and flair. I had that poem about Katrina now. So. Katrina. Our stories, though essentially our own, are yet with other stories intertwined. We meet and part, we go on with our lives, a little changed from what we were before, enriched perhaps, standing more upright, or else diminished, somehow nearer death. How near we find ourselves sometimes to death, and find that sometimes everything we own and everything we knew and thought was right was almost blown away in last night's wind, or else had all been burned up in a fire. We're lucky that at least we have our lives, that something still within us thrives and lives, despite the fact that we came close to death. Our native genius pushes to the fore, and all together then we work as one. And after, maybe with our arms entwined, we celebrate our victory as is right. So with the help of rituals and rites and other things, we get on with our lives. Our loving fingers warmly intertwined. We are reassured that we can conquer death, though somewhere near its awful gulf still yawns, while yet the weather gauge is set at fair. Who knows how long or far we have to fare before we finally somehow get it right, and we forget the many things we own, involved with other people, other lives. Sooner or later we will all face death, and worms about our bones will intertwine. So come then, let us fill the cup with wine, and so give thanks that we're alive before we finally come face to face with death, and hope that everything will turn out right, because we've tried to live creative lives as we sail blithely into the unknown. Our lives are fair, squarely set for the unknown, and death will come, no matter wrong or right. We all must bow before its leveling wind. Now that I've cheered everybody up, I'll do another love poem, okay?
Yay.
I'm always, it's by nature to celebrate the beauty of women, no matter who they are. This is called Donna. If beauty is a passing thing, let's celebrate it as it goes. Let's step out on a May morning and loudly greet the random rose. Let's mark in every detail one who stopped your heart the other day, before she too was also gone, as if by magic whisked away. Who knows where we may wind up yet? Nothing is certain, that's for sure. So let us now spread wide our net around that delicate allure, that brilliant fancy, if you wish, that stood before you in her shoes, then vanished as if in a flash, as if she might have been the muse. Her name still lingered in the air from your brief bantering exchange, after she left you standing there to seek perhaps a further range. Donna was how she framed it then. Donna, just that, and nothing more. Donna, to which you say amen. Donna, oh mia bel amour.
One piece, maybe two.
All right, I have two more small pieces and then I'll shut it up. Well, I don't know how many people saw the movie The King's Speech. Well, I had a speech therapist too back in England, and this is a poem about Miss Carter, my speech therapist. Once a week I went to see Miss Carter. I go through streets where ladies ply their wares in London Soho till I got to her, safe on Dean Street. Not that I was scared. I loved the ambience I encountered there. All those invitations to go upstairs provoked a sense of doom and old romance. Just as well, I always kept my distance. I stuttered. Mellifluous fluent speech was not my forte. I would get bogged down on certain words. Sometimes would try to reach understanding by grimace and by groan or other methods. A way out, a breach in the process. To come into my own and proudly speak whatever came to mind was what I hoped eventually to find. Miss Carter, then, was my speech therapist. I think about her fondly even yet, more probing than psychiatrist or priest. She searched my motives diligently, let me ramble on, unraveling the mist of nightly dreams, or spreading wide her net, showed me techniques that had me poised for flight upon the backs of syllables, crisp and light. Stuttering can well be a major pain. For those who stutter, a heavy cross to bear. Though not considered serious in the main, it can make the stutterer aware of every word he utters, slowly drain his speech of a purpose, cancel needed fire when he would burn the world up with a blast, or woo a damsel given of his best. The debt I owe this cheerful warrior for her endeavours cannot be repaid. I will not try, but it was due to her that before long I felt myself remade, more confident perhaps, a little surer in conversation of the words I said, more softly spoken, more articulate, as if such things had always been innate. All right. All right, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to sing Annie Laurie some other time, but I'll sing one of the great Irish love songs.
Sing an Irish song.
This is called The Rose of Tralee. The pale moon was rising above a green mountain. The sun was declining. beneath the blue sea. When I strayed with my love to the pure crystal fountain that stands in the beautiful vale of Cleary. She was lovely and fair, like the rose of the summer, yet was not her beauty alone that won me. Oh no, 'twas the truth in her eyes ever dawning that made me love Mary, the rose of Cleary. The cool shades of evening their mantles were spreading as Mary, all smiling, was listening to me. The moon through the valley her pale rays was shedding when I won the heart of the rose of Cleary. She was lovely and fair, like the rose of the summer, yet was not her beauty alone that won me. Oh no, 'twas the truth in her eyes ever dawning that made me love Mary, the rose of Cleary.
And he walked away, so I didn't even get to give a proper. I want to hear something louder for Give It Up for Dan Cleary. That was, I was clapping into the microphone. I wasn't trying to echo it. Thank you. That was awesome. That was beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so very much. It's right before spring. It's right before St. Patty's Day. Thank you so much. We've got this, and more people are like, I want to give more money to him. Exactly.
Well, I was
We're
here late.
collecting for the till because he's so worth it. Trust me. I know he is. So, and we've got a great lineup of future people that are coming up as well. As I'm looking at this great list, I've got two of the three of the riffing triad coming up next week. We've got Tom Roby, and guess what? It's even on his birthday. Yeah. Oh, he's a great. And the crowd goes wild. Exactly. I see his arm waving. And then after that, we've got Janine Ravaslu, which is so awesome. We got Deborah Rosen, Larry O'Dean. We've got GPA, the Poetic Gun Sub after that. So ladies and gentlemen, we've got so many cool things coming up. If you want to check out a schedule ever, you go to chaoticarts.org/thecafe. You can see these things as podcasts. Yeah, people are giving more money to them. Yes, this feature was so worth it. You know it, definitely. And we can see podcasts, you can see YouTube clips, and thank you so very much. And I look forward to seeing all of you here to celebrate his birthday with him next week for his great feature. So give it up. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Woo!